Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this micro movement lesson. It's micro because it's short, and it's micro because we are going to be doing small movements to make big changes in the way we feel, the way we think, and the way we possibly emote. So find yourself a chair that is flat and rather firm. If you are working in a couch, it's not so good. So try to find something, a desk chair, a kitchen chair that is firm and can support you. Come to sitting at the front of the chair so that at least half of your thighs are not touching the seat. And find where you put your feet. Put your feet down flat on the floor. Now, for this first part, I want you to remember, and for the whole part, for all of this lesson, I want you to remember to go slowly and gently, because going slowly and gently and following my instructions as best you can will allow for your brain to take in new information, which will lead to new connections, which will lead to less active musculature, which is maybe holding you and causing pain. So from this place, just notice where you are. Notice how long the back of your neck is. Notice what your breathing is like. Now, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to roll your pelvis back. You can put your hands right here, roll your pelvis back and forward. Just a little bit. Rolling your pelvis back and rolling your pelvis forward. And now roll your pelvis forward and back to that neutral place. Rolling it forward and back to your neutral. Now this time when you're doing it, I would like you to notice what's happening to your nose. Where is your nose in space when you roll your pelvis back and forward to the middle and forward and back to the middle? Does your nose correspond somehow to your pelvis? See if your nose comes a little closer to your pelvis when you roll back, and your nose goes a little farther away from your pelvis when you roll forward. Now rest a moment and feel your breathing. Now I want you to combine those two things. So you're rolling your pelvis back. Maybe your nose is coming just a little bit closer to your pelvis, and then you're rolling right through to roll your pelvis forward, and your nose is making a corresponding action away from the pelvis. Just explore that a little bit more as you roll your pelvis all the way back and then all the way forward. Of course, only within where it's comfortable. In fact, doing less than where it's comfortable is even more effective. Don't go to your limit, because that's not what we're after. We're not looking for limits here. We're looking for possibilities. So we're rolling our pelvis forward and back. Feel each time you do, you're looking to notice something different or something that's happening. What is happening in other parts of your system? What's happening with your sternum? What's happening with your feet? What's happening with your shoulder blades? Now let's do a little experimentation where we put one hand on the top of our heads. If that's not comfortable for you, you can always put your hand on your chin or on your nose. But I'm going to put my hand on my head, and what I'm paying attention to is the trajectory of my elbow. If I roll my pelvis back, and then roll my pelvis forward, where is my elbow in space? And notice also notice, like, where are you looking? Are you looking straight ahead because you want to look at me? Or are you following your eyes with your elbow? Notice how this is different than maybe when you were touching your pelvis, if that's what you were doing, or when you were doing it without putting your hand on your head. There we are. And bring your hand down again. Notice your breathing now. Notice your awareness of your ribs maybe. Notice your awareness of other things. What are you paying attention to? Now if you're ready to experiment a little bit more with putting your hands on your head, maybe you could put both hands on your head or both hands on your chin and notice where your elbows are in space when you do this. And back up again and up all the way. Notice this is quite different than having your hands on your head if you had your hands on your head before. Imagine if in this configuration, imagine if you had a little bit of ink on your elbows. And imagine what kind of shape they are drawing in space. As you go down, your pelvis is rolling back, or you are rolling your pelvis forward, up, and notice where your elbows are and what shape are they drawing. Are you able to notice both elbows at the same time, or are you concentrating more on one than the other? What I'm hoping for you is that this is becoming smoother and smoother so that it becomes easier and easier as you explore this. Put your hands down and rest. Feel the back of your neck, how long it is. Feel your shoulders. Feel where, if where you are right now is similar or the same or different than it was when you were scanning at the beginning to find out where you were. Now let's experiment going side to side with our pelvis. So put a little bit of extra weight on one side of your pelvis. Mine is the left side right now. Notice what you do. Do you bend in the middle and squish down the opposite side of you? Or do you go over like the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Which way do you do it when you put a little bit more weight on one side of your pelvis than the other? Just do it a couple times and notice how you are doing it. When you start to notice how you're doing something, you have the capacity to change it. If you're not even noticing what it is you're doing or how you're doing it, you're kind of just doing it as you've always done. You're relying on habitual patterns, and sometimes those habitual patterns are not working for you. In fact, they're causing you pain because they haven't been explored and updated and got an upgrade in quite some time. So just notice what it is that you're doing. And in this, also start to notice what is the relationship of the head and the pelvis in this configuration as you are leaning on one side and coming back. We're just doing one side, by the way. This might help you too. If you brought your hand up to the top of your head and you're experimenting to see what is going on, where's my elbow going when my head and my pelvis are coming closer together in this configuration? Are you keeping your spine long as you do this? The back of your neck long? Where are we going with this? Let's just do a few more on this side. Bring your hand down. And now bring your weight to the other side and notice, oh my goodness, I'm noticing why I chose my left side, because my right side, I don't really want to put more weight on my right side. Isn't that interesting? Let's just see what happens when we experiment by doing things just a few times. See what that's all about. Why was this side harder for me? I'm getting curious. I don't know about you. What are you dealing with? Let's see. Now, if I were to put my hand up on this side and bend to see the elbow coming closer to my pelvis on this side, what does it mean here? Just do that a few times. Notice where, when you put your hand on top of your head, I'm noticing that my neck kind of gets a little squished. So I changed that. This is one of my favorite things to do, is tap my head to see whether my head is in a happy place. Let's see. Bring your hand down. Feel your breathing. Feel how you feel about yourself. And now roll your pelvis back and roll your pelvis forward. And see, is that clearer now? Let's see. Do you go a little bit farther? Do you go a little smoother? Let's see. Now we're going to take a little ride around like we're in a tilt-a-whirl. Not really, but you know, like as if we were in one of those, like a cup or a bowl, and we are going to experiment with our pelvis about going around in a circle in a bowl, as if your whole pelvis is making the rotation to go around. Notice which side you decided to go. Maybe you went to the right, maybe you went to the left. Notice I didn't actually suggest which way you should go. Which way did you choose? As you roll your pelvis around in a circle. Rolling in the same direction. See what kind of rib movement can you have to facilitate your pelvis being willing and excited to try rolling around like a ball or like a bowl. Like your pelvis is a bowl. And now leave that alone. You can try rolling your pelvis back and forward and see if that has become clearer. Maybe some ribs are showing up to support this movement. And now roll in the other direction. See what it's like to roll in the other direction. What kind of action do your ribs have, and what's happening with the top of your head? If you had a paintbrush at the top of your head, what kind of picture would it be painting if it was sticking out the top of your head? Oh, it's hard to imagine what that image is, what that shape is that it's making. But it's kind of being dictated by the circle of your pelvis. So maybe you're looking forward, maybe you're following your nose around. Play with the ideas that I'm suggesting to you so that you can provide your own variation in this exploration. Now roll your pelvis back, roll your pelvis forward. How do your shoulders feel? How's your breathing? How do you feel about yourself? Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.